There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation. Ripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures with some of my best buddies.
This month's podcast partners include 5 great companies. They are Stroud & Son Marine, located in E10, North Carolina. Your one-stop shop for all of your sales and service needs. You can reach out to them at stroudandson.com. You can check out their inventory live online. You can schedule services. They sell brands such as Crest, Suzuki Marine, Carolina Skiff, Key West, Ocean Kayaks, the Old Town Kayak brand, Garmin, Minchew, and more. Redline Rigs. Redline Rigs is a great company, quickly becoming one of Eastern North Carolina's favorites. Your popping cork and bait and tackle needs are all met there. They also sell other brands such as Voodoo, Coastal Bay Baits, and more. You can put in code BHA for Blind Hog Adventures 10 to save 10% off anything on their site. That's redlinerigs.com. Fox Hollow Outdoors. Fox Hollow is one of our favorite places to get seasonings, bait, apparel at foxhollowOutdoors.com to save a little bit of money while you're there. Don't forget to enter in code BHA for Blind Hog Adventures 15 to save 15% off of anything on the site, from custom mirror lures to seasoning packs to bad tails, bait made by Badfish, you name it, it's there. You can save 15%. Salt Strong, one of the largest online communities in the country with over 60,000 proud Salty Bay Baits. Salty Bay Baits can be found at deepcreeklures.com. There you'll find Deep Creek Lures, all the Salty Bay Bait lineup, and Captain Gary's Marine products. They are made here in North Carolina. They have tournament-grade fishing lures and things to take care of your boat. We just want to thank all of these great companies as they come alongside Blind Hog Adventures to make this the best podcast available that we can. Let's get back to our show. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Blind Hog Adventures Inshore Saltwater Podcast. We are down here Creekside in Belhaven today. Nice afternoon out here on the water, so we're recording outside here under the Redneck Pavilion, Redneck Lab, and just having a good time. Got Mako the trout dog out here with us, and got a special guest with you today, and it's not Mako.
And it's not Gaston.
And it's not Gaston either. But I got Gaston with me as always, my co-host, Captain Gaston King of Kingfisher Charters, LLC. So got to include the LLC. Got to. But just going to have a good time today. We actually have a good friend of ours that we've got to know pretty well through social media, and then meeting. We've got a lot of common interest, and we've seen some of the quality of his work. Meeting through some benefit tournaments and just various things. He's been a great supporter of the podcast ever since it kicked off, and we can't thank him enough for that. And there was nothing in that for him to gain. He's just that kind of person and a great individual. So we wanted to bring him on, highlight what he does, just talk life and fishing, and actually custom rod building today. So why don't you introduce yourself, dear sir?
I'm Jeff Minchew, a.k.a. Shady Pirate Fishing and Shady Pirate Custom Rods. I kind of started out how I got into inshore fishing. I bought a deck boat back in probably 2018 and started doing some bass fishing and crappie fishing a little further inland. And me and my brother-in-law decided to come down to Belhaven. We heard they were catching some trout down here about 2019, or probably the November of 2019 or so. And I felt I got my first redfish on that trip, and probably my first 15 or 20 redfish actually. Probably right around the corner down here to the left. But since I felt that redfish tug, I kind of got drug into the inshore game and kind of haven't looked back since. As far as custom rod building, I got into it about 2.5 or 3 years ago. I think being an engineer by trade, I kind of, and having a touch of OCD, as my wife tells me quite frequently, I kind of get obsessed with things and kind of dig in and dig as deep as possible and kind of try to deconstruct things to the smallest level I can get to. So kind of that started upgrading my fishing gear, started upgrading my reel, started upgrading my rods. And kind of the next logical step for me was wanting to have a rod that no one else had, basically. And so I started studying components and started nerding out on YouTube and mudhole.com, and finally ended up taking a class and learning how to do it. I built myself a few rods, and I had a few buddies. I'll give a shout out to another local company, Nathan Winstead of Underwater Porcupine Custom Lures.
Oh yeah, he's got some great. I actually get my jig heads from him.
Yeah, he does
custom
great
jig heads. I get from him.
Custom plastics. He'll custom paint you some lures if you want them painted. Great guy, local to Rocky Mount, not too far from me. In fact, I was picking up some lures from him one day, and I told him, I said, hey, man, I kind of started messing around with this fishing rod stuff, and I showed him a couple rods I happen to have in my truck, and he said, hey, man, if you ever want to start looking at doing these for other people, let me know. He said, I'll buy one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I built myself probably 5 or 6 rods, and I was like, I really can't afford to keep pursuing this hobby and building them just for myself. So I gotta look outside. I gotta try to replenish some of these funds I've been spending. So I basically sold off all my casting rods I had. Nothing against casting. I love casting rods. In fact, I've built several rods on his blanks. But as far as factory built rods, I just sold them all off and replaced all of mine. And again, Nathan was my first customer and probably my most repeated customer. Great guy, again, Underwater Porcupine Lures. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
But it's kind of started there, and then he had some friends that wanted some rods, and then kind of people started reaching out through Instagram from the coast and everywhere in between, and even got building one for a guy down in Texas next up. So I'm kind of branching out different areas. It's been a fun ride. Again, it's kind of a hobby. I do it because I enjoy it, not because I'm trying to make a fortune. I'm pretty fair and transparent with people as far as what they want and what their money can get them.
Yeah.
Which we talked about a little bit before the podcast.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But there's a broad range of what you can get, from intro rods to basically spending as much as you want to spend. You can get that, Honda Civic rod, or you can get that Lamborghini Bugatti rod.
I'm a Honda Civic.
Cory's a Pinto guy.
I'm more of a Pinto.
I can accommodate. I try to keep my minimum quality level to a certain level, so I try not to go too cheap. To be completely transparent, my rods start out around 185 to 200 and kind of go up from there depending on what you want. You can get kind of a good rod for that price, or you can spend 250 to 300 and get you a really good rod, or if you want that Bugatti rod where it's carbon fiber, everything, basically, you can spend $500-$600 fairly easily.
And he brought 4 for us to look at today, and I will say I am that Pinto guy, but holding them in my hand, I've seen him on his Instagram and different things where he's showing these carbon fiber handles and all this. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, man's gonna make me spend $250 on a rod, because it is amazing. And that's the thing you've got to do. I just saw a cost number, right? I didn't see, and I feel guilty about spending money on me. But when I put those rods in my hand and felt the balance and felt the quality of it, I was like, holy cow! Now I see what he's talking about. And like I said, to somebody, that's just an entry-level rod. To me, man, I'm sitting on a pretty good Corvette on that joker.
Well, you have to think, where I come from, when I was getting birthday money and stuff, we were buying rods and combos from Walmart, right? $40, you were like, oh, man, I got something
I never
nice.
spent that much.
It was kind of like, oh, and then it lasts for 6 months,
Yeah,
right? And,
yeah.
It's just one of those things. You can spend what you want and get where you need to be, but I'm telling you, once you put one of these rods in your hand, and I can tell you from experience, you can feel a leaf, a piece of pine straw.
Yes.
So it's really hard to put that into words and have people understand that.
Yeah.
But the sensitivity of what he can make you is incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's all in your budget and what you want to do. And I don't think everyone needs a $300, $400 rod. I don't think everyone needs that. I think you have to develop a certain skill level before you kind of graduate to that gear. I think everyone should start off with that $30, $40 combo and see if this is fishing is really for them. And once you dig into it, once you use nicer gear, it's very hard to go back.
Everybody picks on me because I'm the Cast King guy. If you watch my YouTube videos, everybody knows I use Cast King rods forever. And there's nothing wrong with that. The Ion series is amazing. You can get them for like $40, and on Black Friday, like $32. But my whole boat, I can put people on that, right? And it doesn't break the bank if they tear up or whatever. But then I was able to put my hands on. Salt Strong sent me one of their nice rods. I was able to get one of those, and it's a very higher end rod, the slot machine, and I was able to try one of those, and I know what he's talking about. And I was like, wow, I did not realize how much I was missing, or what I was feeling on the bottom and stuff like that. And then I finally spent a little bit of money, and I was like, I'm gonna upgrade from the Cast Kings to the TFO Professionals, and I got those, and they're a good $100 rod, a medium level rod. But I can tell you what I miss between that to the higher end is really tremendous. And then putting these rods in my hand today, I can tell it. And so before it's over, I'm gonna bite the bullet and have me a good jigging rod and a good what's that thing on there?
I don't know.
Popping cork. Okay, I'll edit that part out. But before it's over, though, I'm going to have me a good jigging rod and a good popping cork rod. And that way it's the right action, it's the right, whatever I need that to do, it'll be set up for that. And just, if you're like me and have physical ailments, just the feeling in your hand was amazing. Because, I mean, it's like it almost was meant to be in your hand. And that means a lot. And you said they're how light? Tell us a little bit about that kind of stuff, too, man.
Yeah, some of those blow molded carbon fiber grips, I think they're like 1.7 ounces.
The whole rod didn't feel like it weighs anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
One of those rods over there is like 3.5 ounces.
It was
That's
crazy.
insane.
It was crazy how
Then you
how
had
light it was.
then you had a 7-ounce reel, and you've got a 10-ounce setup total.
And you can throw it all day and not
well,
hurt.
I was gonna say, and people don't understand this. Like, I mean, we came, and I talk junk to my dad, but I mean, he's got a reel that's probably 16 ounces, right? And you pick it up, and it's like, it knocks your shoulder down to the ground. And you have to think from where we come from now is you're fishing all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot. Let's say you're throwing 16 ounces total, but that is really a lot when you're throwing it for 7-8 hours. And I mean, what you've done at 3.5 ounces is, I mean, you don't even feel it when you pick it up.
It was amazing. I mean, it's almost like putting a donut on a bat when you grew up playing baseball, and then you grab the bat and go up there to swing, and it's that light difference. And I'm just being real. I picked up, I had one in the truck. I picked it up. I picked his up, and I'm like, holy cow. It's like I took the donut off of it. And that's the best way I know how to explain it, growing up playing ball, is, and I can throw that all day and don't have to worry about my shoulder hurting or my back hurting or whatever. It's game changing.
Yeah, and to get into the ergonomics, I try to balance the rod for whatever somebody's fishing. So if you're telling me you're going to fish a mirror lure 90% and you fish tip down, I don't mind that rod being a little tip heavy. But if you're fishing a jig on a tip heavy rod all day, you're going to feel it. And I've done it myself,
I've
experimenting.
never thought about that.
So I'll normally will leave the butt cap off until I find out, what you're fishing, what reel you're going to use on that rod, and I'll balance it for that reel and for what you're going to use it for. So if you're going to be jigging all day, I'll throw a couple of little split shots in the butt, glue them in, epoxy them in. That way it's going to be a little tip heavy. But by the same token, if you go try to fish that tip down all day, you're going to wear yourself out by having that heavy butt.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I never would have thought of that.
I'm learning stuff now.
I think it's all just kind of digging into the ergonomics of what you're doing. A lot of this has just been kind of from my own learning and building myself an absurd amount of rods and kind of playing around with tip heavy versus, like, I got a jerkbait rod. One of those I use as my jerkbait rod, and I'm tipped down all the time. I'm jerk, no pause all day long for bass and for redfish. Redfish love jerkbaits too. But I just balance them for the use, for what you're going to use them for, and for the end user, and most people have been pleased. The feedback I've gotten.
Well, the other cool thing too is it's totally customizable.
Yes.
I mean, I'll let Jeff talk about what he can do, but I mean, I've seen him do sports teams. You can do, I guess, any sports team.
Yep.
I mean, you can have your name on a trout, a redfish, any type of fish sticker up there. And then to hear now that you sit there and say, well, what reel are you throwing? And what are you going to be fishing with? I mean, that's incredible. But talk about what you can put on the rod. What are your choices? I know it's endless.
Yeah, I kind of start at the butt end. I mean, you can go with whatever grip you want. There's a big kind of conversation between cork and carbon fiber. I'll shout out another local company, 432 Fishing.
Oh, he's awesome
And
too.
Travis, great guy.
Travis is amazing.
But every time I post anything about carbon fiber, he's in my DM. I was like, cork is better. Cork is lighter. Cork.
I'm a cork guy myself.
So if you've seen backwater bandits, if you've seen a lot of different baits, and I think they may have gone in-house now, but there's a lot of baits, MHC, different ones actually use him on 43.2 Fishing. They use his treble hooks with the dress trebles.
Yeah.
That's Travis. I mean, he's doing that kind of stuff, and man, he is amazing.
Yeah, Travis is doing the feathered trebles, which his work is incredible. Flies like I've never seen before. He almost makes me want to build a fly rod just to fish some of his flies.
I bought some cobia baits, and I don't even go cobia fishing, but it looks so good. I bought 3 of them
good.
in case I get out there and get a chance to cast for them.
And about once a year, I'll put in a big jig head order with him as well. He can custom paint your jig heads, whatever color you want. I mean, obviously, being an ECU guy, I got a bunch of purple and gold jig heads. I'm running kind of low. I need to hit him up again soon. But great guy. But he loves cork handles. A lot of people prefer cork because it's a little softer, especially the wintertime, this time of year. That carbon doesn't help out your cold hands when you're fishing with it. I'll admit that. But you can go cork, carbon. There's a lot of intermediate materials. I've seen some local guys just forming foam and dropping epoxy over top of it. You get this really hard compressed foam, and you can put epoxy over it, and it'll look really pretty. You can get different shapes and things like that. You can paint your blanks. You can paint your carbon grips. I've seen there's another guy, I can't remember his name, but he's been like painting like redfish carbon grips and stuff like that, and custom making his carbon grips. Beautiful work. From there, you get into your reel seat, and this really comes down to preference. There's 1,000 different options for reel seats. I like a lot of Fuji. I use some of the CRB stuff from Mudhole. But I really have started leaning towards the blow molded carbon grips.
Is that what I picked up over
yeah,
there?
the blow molded
that thing
is amazing. It kind of
nice.
integrates the reel
nice.
seat and grips all into one. Super light, 1.5 ounces or so.
And there's no give. So, like, and the best way I can explain it, and please go on his Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of stuff and check him out, and we'll give you all that information in just a little bit. But the best way I can explain it is if you can't stand for, to have to keep tightening up your reel, or for it to feel like it's not seated all the way, and especially if you catch a lot of fish and it just feel like it moves and stuff in your hand, there was no movement. Like, it was when you grabbed it, it was solid. It was there, and it just fit in the cup of your hand, man. It was just, man.
Yep, North Fork Composites makes some of those. Exoskeleton, American Tackle makes some called the Suka 2. Incredible stuff. Kind of new technology into fishing, but I'm really digging it so far.
I'm gonna tell you, I know why. It's awesome.
I've kind of transitioned like all my rods to those. All my rods I want to pick up. If I have 10 rods on the boat, I'm probably picking up one with the blow molded carbon grip right now. Just kind of where I'm at.
Both of mine will have that, just so you know.
And moving up from there, you can kind of customize your reel seat even further by putting a hood on it and hiding those threads. I hate grabbing a rod and feeling the threads in my hand. I hate it.
Yeah.
So I either use hidden threads or put the threads at the back so you don't grab them when you're fishing. Try things like that. Just kind of improve the ergonomics a bit. Then, of course, you get to your blank, probably the most important part of this whole thing. There's a super wide array of where you can go with blanks, budget-friendly, kind of the lower modulus stuff that if you can beat it up, if you're going to be slamming it in your car door or dropping it or stepping on a boat, we can hook you up with something there. It's a little lower modulus and a little more forgiving. And then you getting kind of the intermediate modulus stuff, kind of the mid-level, mid-tier stuff where I kind of put some of the like American Tackle Bushido blanks or some of the CRB blanks they have. And then you get up to the higher modulus stuff like we were talking about. MHX makes some really nice higher modulus stuff, as well as Cash and Rods make some super high modulus stuff, as well as North Fork Composites.
All right, I'm a dummy. So what does modulus mean?
Modulus is how the carbon fiber is laid.
Okay. Does it mean, what does that make it? Is it more flexible? Is it more brittle?
It's actually more brittle.
Okay.
It's way more sensitive. It transfers.
Okay, that's what I'm at. Okay,
it basically makes the carbon fiber weave finer, like smaller.
Okay.
So it makes it more brittle, so it will break much easier. So
But you can feel everything.
But you can feel everything, yeah.
Corey doesn't catch big enough fish to worry about it breaking,
No,
we're okay there.
Oh.
So especially this time of year when the trout are lethargic, if they made it through the freeze, they're going to be very lethargic and low to the bottom. And some days, as the sun gets up, those ticks will be very fine. It'll be a little tiny tick.
Yeah.
But if you miss that tick, that fish is gone.
Yeah.
So those are the days where I want a super high modulus blank in my hands. If you're fishing for redfish in spring or summer, you probably don't need a super high modulus.
They whack it. I mean,
super high end.
That's the kind
blank.
of fish I catch is whackers.
Like you don't. Like I was thinking, you want a popping cork rod. You probably don't need a super high end blank for that because you have basically an indicator to tell you when you need to reel down and set that hook.
Yeah.
But for trout fishing in particular, like crappie fishing, I like higher modulus stuff just so you can feel those very fine bites. And but again, they're more brittle, so they're more apt to break if you abuse them. They're not going to take a lot of abuse.
So it's one of them rods you probably want to use yourself, but not let your kid hold, and that kind of stuff. So I mean, or that kind of thing. And that's where talking to somebody that's. So when I told him, I said, well, I use a 7-foot medium fast. And that's what most of everything I use is a medium fast, basically. Except my pop and quart rods, they're a little different. But I was telling him, and he said, well, this is a medium light, or this is a whatever, because this rod maker, this is what the application, theirs is what they call it, this is what they use. So really telling you what I use it for and how I like the response, it doesn't matter what letters are on it. It matters how it's going to act from that manufacturer, and that's where you know that because you built so many and used so many. So when someone's talking to someone like that, like I know you use a lot of medium light, now, right, Gaston?
Yes.
So but his rods are a higher modulus. I learned a new word. His rods are a higher modulus than mine, and so his medium light, he likes that feeling of that. Where I'm using, I guess, mine for more broad applications. He might be using his for more specialized, and so, but that's all part of telling you what we're using it for and how we're using
Correct.
it.
And I've had a couple guys message me and be like, "Hey, I want a medium." I'm like, "Well, what's the weight of the lures you're throwing? What applications are you using this for? Like, if you're yanking sheep's head off of docks, you might be using a 16th ounce jig head, but you need something with some backbone to get them out, right?
Pull a 5-pound fish
Correct.
off a dock.
Yes. So that's a little different application. So, but if you're throwing 8 ounce for redfish in open water, we can get away with a lighter action rod. And that's again what we're talking about, is not all medium lights are equal. Not all mediums are a medium from one vendor might be a medium light and another vendor. And some of those rods are over there actually light, but they fish more like a medium light, what I would consider a medium light. So it's kind of all getting your hands on it, casting lures with them, bending them around, giving them that however you decide to. Some guys are tip on the ground type of test. I'm more of up in the air, kind of seeing where it's bending down the blank. The more moderate it is going to bend further down the blank, and you're going to have a little more forgiveness as far as casting lighter lures. If you got something super fast and you're trying to cast something lighter than it's rated for, you're going to have a bad time. Your casting distance is really going to suffer. So,
can it improve like your bird's nest and all that kind of stuff as well, and different things?
I think as far as bird's nest, as far as us wind knots and things like
that stuff.
I do think.
So that's probably the person, not the rod.
That's probably the
operator error.
I mean, it can
operator
be,
error.
If you're running really small guides and your knots are big, large, not like a uni knot, if you send that through any set of guides, it's going to be a bad time, especially if you're running a super long leader. Most of the year around here, we can get away with a pretty short leader, but in the wintertime when our creeks really clear up, as I'm sure you guys are familiar with, I try to run a longer leader. I'm talking 4 or 5 foot sometimes of leader.
Oh, wow.
So, but you got to find a knot that works for you and your rod.
Yeah.
I mean, normally
because you got some real small guides over there, and then you got some of those the larger ones.
Yep. Most of those guides over there are 5, some between 4s and 6s. Those 5s and 6s are a little more forgiving. Once you get down to a 4.5 or 4 on a running guide, it's a little sketchy. Extending knots through there.
So if you're a bad knot tire, you might not need those. Just saying.
And there's a lot of best practices to get rid of wind knots too. Normally, when I start seeing my line get twisted up, I'll just pull it off and cut it off.
Yeah.
Until I get to nice flat looking line. But again, if it depends on your rigging too. If you're out there helicoptering, what are they called? Like a shad style, like a fluke style bait.
Yeah.
And it's just helicoptering out there. If you're introducing line twist, you're not doing yourself any favors. I've seen a lot of people just slam their bills shut. Those will increase wind knots. Or you have someone like a kid. My son's bad for this. He's fighting a fish. He'll just keep reeling even though the drag's pulling. I mean, you're just twisting your line over and over and again. It's like, stop reeling. Yeah. Let the drag do its job.
Is he talking about me?
I think he is.
And then I think on one of your podcasts, your videos, somebody was talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know if they were or not, but I do it a lot.
Well, for me, what I do when I throw, I manually flip my bell over, and I always take my hand above the reel and pull the line and make sure the line end of spool is tight. I think that goes a long way.
I think he was talking about me with reeling with the drag, because I always sitting there cranking and the drag's still going.
Well, that's because your drag is so freaking loose. I don't understand.
It's because I catch big fish and I don't want to pull the. I don't want to pull the.
I think there's some best practices for casting and managing your drag and things like that. Like when I cast mine out, I'll stick my hand below the spool and kind of let it feather on my hand, but right before it hits the water, I'll shut the bill.
I shut that. That's what I do. But right before it hits the water, I'm gonna shut my bill, and that's usually going to stop some of that too.
Yeah, but wind knots are a problem with spinning reel.
Some of us have bigger wind knots than others, so unfortunately.
I mean, every kind of casting system kind of has its drawbacks. With bait casters, you have backlashes, which can ruin a day
I
of
can't
fishing.
even throw a bait caster, so I'm out on that one.
So I ain't even really sure why I said the bird's nest thing, because I don't even throw a bait. I meant to say a wind knife.
That's where my mind went when you said.
Yeah, I meant to say a wind. Anyway, though.
Well, all right, let's do this. So if somebody wants a rod from you and they call you, what questions should they ask, or how would you lead them, or what do they need to know? How would you go from step one, they call you, say, hey, I want a rod. Take us through that process.
First, I would ask basically budget to kind of narrow my scope of what I
So
can.
first question's budget.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Because he know, I can say yes because he said, well, I can hand you this one or this one, and I said, let's put that one down.
It's a wide range.
It is a wide, so
Yeah.
that is fair. That is fair.
I think it's fair to kind of narrow down what I'm working with, how many resources I can use to get you what you want.
That's fair.
And then it's like, hey, do you want any special colors or themes? Because that's going to narrow down my blanks as well. If you want a white blank, I can't get a white blank in every manufacturer.
Oh, okay.
Like Gary Loomis does not make white blanks. If you want a white Gary Loomis blank, you're going to have to get it painted somewhere. Like you were talking about St. Croix. St. Croix makes some beautifully colored painted rods. Again, there's a bunch of other manufacturers, but if you want like a white blank, for instance, which Brandon Burnett, as you mentioned, he said he wanted a white blank, UNC themed. So that kind of narrowed me down immediately.
And that was a beautiful rod, by the way. I'm a Carolina fan, and that was a beautiful rod.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
So I think it goes from budget. I'm asking you what you want to do with it. Where you want spin it or cast it.
Yeah.
Initially, what are you doing with it? Is this just like an all-around rod you want? What lures are you typically casting most of the time? That's going to kind of those couple questions are going to say, hey, what power do I need? What lure rating do I need? And things like that. I'm kind of go from there, and I'll say, have you have any preference for grips or guides? I'll say, do you have a rod that you really like how the guides run on it, or do you have a rod you really like the reel seat or the grips? And most of the time they do. They'll have one rod. Hey, I like these guides.
Well, if you hadn't tried that carbon fiber, you better put your hand on it for your order. If not, you're gonna be sad.
Yeah, I mean that's something too. I mean, and I don't know how many options there are. I know there's a ton of options. You would almost like to go and touch something and say, hey, I would, I like this or I don't like that. And I know that's difficult for a lot of people, but I mean, that if you can kind of have an idea, I think, of what you're looking for, that helps you out. But, it's like today, I've seen them do these carbon, and I'm like, I don't think I'd like that. And then I just picked it up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I really like that.
Because he asked me what my budget was, and I told him, and he kind of chuckled. And
Corey's not getting carbon.
I am getting carbon. That's what I say. But when he told me, hey, you could get this and get these options, or if you really like that carbon, you can spend an extra $50 and upgrade it to X, Y, and Z, and you have these options. Now it opens this whole other bag up to you. I'd much rather spend the $50 now than wish I'd have spent that whatever later on. So it's almost in anything we do, right? You don't go on the, and I understand the question about the budget too, because what's the first thing a car salesman asks you, right? Or a boat salesman or whoever. What's your budget? Well, if there's no reason for me to show you every high-end model if it's out of your price range to start off with, and there's nothing wrong with having a budget. That's how you financially are sound and responsible. So that's okay. Whatever your budget is, that allows, right? Or save up a little bit more until you can get something different. But be financially, and that's honestly a really good question instead of roping somebody in and then saying, oh, guess what? Yeah. This rod is $500 when they put all these bells and whistles on it, and then you got to go back and get your plain Jane, right? So at least you know what your realistic options are, and I like that. I like the fact that you care about, it's not about you, it's about them, and that's a big difference. It's the same reason that we deal with Stroud & Son with whether it's a boat, or we talk to Austin and them when it comes to redline rigs and that kind of stuff for Saudi Bay. We talk with different people that help us out, and that's why we call them our podcast partners, right? Whether it's Backwater Bandits, whether it's Fox Hollow Outdoors, whether it matter if it's their outdoor seasons or if it's their baits and that kind of stuff, man, they hook it up to where it's specific to you, and they're good people that care about other people, and then they have great products, and that's no different with Jeff here, man. He falls right into that stuff as well, and we're happy to have him on here on our podcast and just learning. It's amazing, man. So keep on walking us through.
Yeah, kind of to speak to the pricing again. I mean, if you walk in a higher end tackle shop that has $700 and $800 rods, I mean, that have the carbon fiber guides or the carbon fiber grips, like a St. Croix Legend Extreme is going to run you $750 using basically those same guides over. I can build you that same rod for $250 cheaper than you're going to get it from St. Croix. Or if you go to Edge Rods, those guys are selling the same rods over there using the same components I'm using for $700-800, and I can get it to you for $500. So just kind of as far as
you've bought local. Yep. You've bought Eastern North Carolina. Yeah. You've got the dude that made the rod. You know the guy that put the components on. If something we were talking about earlier, right? I was like, man, I'm so scared if I get this though that I'm going to break it. He said, if you break a guide off or you do whatever, bring it to me. I'll fix it. I mean, he's got the ability. That makes a big difference than having to ship it back to wherever in the world it come from, and then hopefully you can get it back in one piece and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
and who doesn't like custom? I mean, you can put anything you want. You can put your name on it, your business name, anything.
I mean, anybody who's serious about doing whatever hobby they like doing, they want something that's special to them, that they have one of one. And fishing rods is kind of giving me that outlet. And kind of speaking to fishing rod repair, I've had a lot of guys come to me to have, hey, can you replace a guide? Can you replace a tip? Can you do this? Can you do that? Or can you add a hook keeper here? I don't like where my hook keeper's at. Can you remove this hook keeper down near the butt, and can you put it up in front of the reel seat? Absolutely.
Because it will break your line if that hook keeper's in the wrong spot. Correct. And you rear back to chunk that thing, it will grab it and break your line. So I never had really paid much mind to that until I saw I had a good bite. A fish swirled right behind it after that bite, and man, I reared back, and I just knew I was going to get it. And when I did, my lure kept right on going to the bushes about 30 yards past it, and I was like, "What in the world?" And my line it had come down, and when I flipped my bail, when I hit my finger, it went underneath that line guy or the hook keeper, and I was like, "Why is it there?" I mean, I never paid much mind to it, but it does make a difference. I mean,
and I think once a lot of guys see my quality of work doing like minor repairs, they're like, "Oh, this guy's pretty good."
Yeah.
It looks just like it did from the factory. Maybe I can trust him building a rod as well. So just kind of doing some of these rod repairs has kind of built trust with several different customers. And I have a neighbor who's a bass fisherman, and he does them Gerald Swindle, slack line hook sets all the time. So he's like, it's like once every 2 months, he's like, "Hey Jeff, I did it again." So I'm like, "Bring it on over, man. Drop it by the house, So.
Yeah. So and you do all that. You do any kind of. It's not just inshore salt water. You do rods for anything. Yeah. And I guess we're finally getting caught up to some of the bass world, because them guys, they've got some. I mean, they'll have 30 rods and have one for flipping, jigging. I mean, they've got a rod for anything tied on. And my nephew's into that. He's like, "Well, Uncle Cory, I've got this rod for this and this rod for this." And I'm like, "You go 5 times a year because you're in school. Yeah. What do you mean you got that much?" And I go twice a week, and I don't have that. But he's like, "Yeah, but you got to have it."
Those bass fishermen guys are really in tune with having technique-specific rods, and I think that's kind of bleeding over, especially when we have a wide range from trout fishing in the wintertime to summertime red fishing here. You can use the same rods, but you might have a bad time with that. Medium light action. If you hook a bull drum, a 30+ inch drum, you're gonna have a hard time pulling him out of that stump field with that rod. So.
I got a 44-inch on the Gaston King, baby. 7 foot medium fast. Well, I fought that joker for 20-some minutes.
Hopefully, after this conversation, we're done talking Gaston King.
Yeah, we are.
That would be awesome, because I'm sorry, Gaston King. I've never used.
I have
product,
nothing to do
but
with Gaston King.
Can't imagine. It's amazing.
Uh-oh, man, go to trout dog, get him, boy. But I only got them because they were cheap, and I was scared I'd break a bunch of stuff. And that's all it was. But, I mean, I joke about it. I'm not sponsored by it. Now it's just become a good laughing point.
Yes.
Because everybody jokes on me because of who I'm involved with. And they're like, "You use Gaston King?" And I'm like, "Well,
yeah, to be fair, I think Gaston King makes some good budget-friendly stuff for folks just getting into fishing. My problem with Gaston King comes when they try to start competing with the Shimano's as far as price point. Shimano's and Daiwa and even the pins. Like, they're just not there yet. And they shouldn't be charging those type of prices for their product.
Yeah.
Well, you brought this up too. Everybody needs to start cheap.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting into fishing, start cheap. Say, okay, well, it's
you can
fishing
afford.
for me,
Yeah.
right? And that is, it really, if you're getting into it, I don't really think that matters, right? No. It's just getting out there and seeing if you like it. I mean, there is a lot that goes into the sensitivity of these rods. I mean, especially for me with that slow mirror lure bite. I mean, you really have to feel almost nothing at times. Yeah. But people that are just getting out there, man, have fun, go do what you want to do. But
that's what it's all about,
right?
Once
you grow up and expand, then
if you see it's going to be an integral part of your life, then it's like anything, right? I mean, you want to have the nicest thing you can afford to use. If it's going to make your time, all of us have limited time on the water. All of us have limited time doing certain things. So if you see that it can improve anybody can catch them on a regular day when they're really biting. We all know we've almost thrown bare hooks out there, and actually,
we have.
actually Michael Letchworth has thrown bare hooks out there and caught citations. You'll see that on the video sometime. But on some days the bite is very, very hard, and if you can go out there and still on a hard day is when the day you have a chance to go and have success. Makes a difference, man.
I hope Ashley King and Kevin Dorr are listening to this. My dad back in the day was throwing a cherry wood rod. I don't even know who, maybe Berkeley. But I don't know. So Ashley, he couldn't stand it, man. He was like, that is the worst rod I've ever seen in my life. He said, you don't even feel the fish bite. The fish has to telegraph you, and you get that a week later to know to snatch. And that happened, I don't know, 10, 12, 13
But didn't he
years
outcatch y'all
ago.
that day on that
He
crazy
did.
rod? I
He
heard that
did.
story.
He did. We actually were at the bridge in New Bern, and we caught quite a few rockfish. But that was just one of those things, man. It was hilarious, and that's just something that sticks in my mind, right? I mean, he was just talking junk, but that cherry wood, man, I tell you, my dad whooped my butt a lot.
It's like the old dude at the golf course that's got the old wood-headed driver, and you're out there with the $500 brand new, whatever kind it is, right? And that's great if that's what you want. But you know what? If you want to be that guy with the yard sale clubs, go do that too. Just get out there and have fun. And that's what we're doing is opening up avenues in your eyes to things that you hopefully know are out there. And if you want to take advantage of this stuff, it's a lot of this is new to me, honestly, and as Gaston's been a little bit more of the custom world, but as I've gotten to know Jeff, man, it's really just opened my eyes to what is available. I can tell you right now, as a veteran, I've already talked to him today. This is not going to be a use on the water rod. I'm going to get a rod. I'm proud of my old unit. I was in the 82nd Airborne with the 3rd to 4th Air Defense. And I want a rod. I'm like, hey, if I send you the crest I had, if I send you all those kind of things, can you put this on a rod for me? Do an American flag wrap. And I've got a shadow box, and I'm going to put that up there on the wall with my shadow box, and because I want my daughter to have that one day and to pass down to her kids one day. Have no intention of putting it on the water, so I don't need the most beautiful components or whatever, but I know he can do the intricate work that can make this a 1 in a billion rod. So if you've got a veteran, if you've got a first responder, if you've got whoever, right, anything, all of us have got stuff that's important to us, so why not give them that gift that you can do that? And if it's not out there to go on the water, then just get the most beautiful rod made you can do. And this dude does effective, and he does awesome work. And I just sat there and looked. He did one for his daughter that I just shared, and she wanted to tell, what is it, kind of rod was it now?
She wanted a hot pink, teal, and purple rod. So I got her a North Fork composite, and I hand turned her some purple EVA grips, which is one of the options we didn't talk about. But
okay,
I can if you have EVA or cork grips, I can shape those if you don't like the shape of them. I've had a couple guys say, hey, can you round this off a little bit on this cork? Absolutely. I throw it on the rod lathe. We'll straighten it out. But I've custom turned a lot of grips for Nathan Winstead from Underwater Porcupine Custom Baits, and as well as my kids, I've turned them out some custom grips.
It was amazing.
Colors.
I was like, this is be the coolest birthday present ever for a kid or something, or anything. It's just... Yeah, it was awesome.
She wanted us to be unicorn themed, so we're going to have some unicorns on there when we get done. We're going to go wild with the colors.
That is awesome, man. That's what I'm saying. If your kid's on a travel ball team or got a favorite football or baseball or whatever team or whatever it is, a favorite major league fisherman or whatever. I mean, everybody's got some kind of sport they pull for, or college or pro, whatever. I mean, you can hey, your imagination options are endless. I mean,
and speaking of those carbon fiber grips, my son said he wanted one of those Suka 2 grips. And I let him go on one of the Facebook pages and pick him out a wrap. He said, I want this wrap, which I kind of regretted about 3 or 4 hours into doing those wraps. But it turned out absolutely beautiful. He wanted blue and gold. So we hooked it up, blue and gold.
Man.
So
I think that's the cool thing, too, is just to watch what you do. I love watching your videos.
It's amazing.
Anytime I see him pop up there with a little story, I'm like, boom.
Me too. I share them all the time.
And things are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and the good part is I enjoy doing it. Like, it's not like a chore, like, oh, I'm going to work, and I got to go clock in and check these emails. It's like I get kind of a mental outlet after my kids go to bed at night. I'll put on a little podcast or some music, and I'll just get to work and start rapping and kind of zone out.
Well, I hate to say this again because I think I say it pretty much every episode now, but it's a passion, right?
Yep, it really is.
I mean, I won't talk too much because we always talk about that.
It's okay, but
it's one of those
it might be
things.
somebody's first time listening.
I mean, as a very masculine man, I don't like to let out my artistic side very often, but fishing rods has kind of gave me that outlet to kind of be artsy and.
There's no shame in my game, dude. I mean, that's one of the ways that I bond with my daughter. We've tried sports, we've tried all kind of things, and that's not her. But she's very artistic. She's very engineering minded. Mm-hmm. She's that kind of stuff, and so that's a way that we are able to bond. And I'm the exact opposite. I was the sports guy. I was all those things. I was the hardcore Army guy. But you know what? If my daughter wants to sit there and artsy out, let's artsy out. There ain't no shame in that,
Yep.
And I don't say that in a bad way. It's something I've never tried, right? And I never even knew that side was in me. Same way I never knew I'd be sitting here at 46 talking about custom fishing rods. I mean, you never know, man. I mean, in a couple of years ago, that wasn't even an option or a thought. So there's nothing wrong with having an art side, dude. You do your thing, and that's when we get older, we get more secure in ourselves. We realize this is the way the Lord made us. This is who we are. This is what we enjoy doing. He gave us all talents and gifts. If I try to do that, if I literally tried to go do anything in your rod shop, oh my land, it would be awful. That's not my gift, right? That's your gift. And that's the thing is everybody has different gifts, and thank goodness they do, that we can talk about this stuff and highlight it and just see the beauty that you make and the functionality. That's the cool thing is it's functional too.
And I think the other piece of that, I don't want to get too carried away with the colorful options and the fancy wraps.
No, dude,
I can make you a super functional, super sensitive rod with minimum wraps to add the minimum amount of weight to get you the lightest rod I can kind of go either way.
Yeah. So it's whatever they want.
Yep.
And that's the thing is if, anything you can, if you want to add it, add it. I mean
if you just want a black rod with black thread, we can do it.
And that's honestly the way most of your stuff comes out of a shop now because they make it bulk production. If something's messed up, it's because that's the easiest way they could get it out fast to you. But you got a guy sitting here putting his eye on everything, weighing it out, talking about literally how it balances with what you use. I mean, I can tell you just in golfing history or in bow, I used to bow hunt. You go and put your hands on stuff because and when you find something that fits you, it is amazing. Like your slice goes away in a golf club or your hook or whatever because you're using the wrong stuff, right? And then when you finally get something or you get something that's made to help you get past your human error side, when you hit the first one down the fairway, that's a really good feeling when you don't have to haul it 4 every time. I mean, and that's the same way. If your score goes down, you do better. Here, your catch count goes up, and you feel better about yourself. You've had a good time, provide for your family. It's just.
Well, I have a question about once you're in building. How tedious are the eyes? I would have to think. Well, yeah, the guys.
They're
sorry,
not.
That
Sorry.
wasn't
A lot of people.
That wasn't very professional of me.
A lot of people call them eyes, and it kind of.
But I mean,
it drives me nuts. But I kind of let it go 90% of the time. But since we're here, I feel comfortable with you guys. We're just going to correct this guides.
It's guides, y'all. Sorry, I'll correct that in the future. But that's got to take some time. For one, you have to wrap the thread. You have to make sure they're even. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that goes into that.
Basically, when I'm mounting the grips, I'll spine the rod.
What is it? All right, you got it. Let's go.
I'll basically bend the rod at a 90-degree angle from tip to butt. Will be at 90 degrees.
Wow.
And there is some when they roll these blades, they roll the carbon fiber. There will typically be one or in some cases 2 overlaps, so you could have 2 spines. I'll normally build it on the strongest spine. That way, when you go to set that hook, all your guides will be perfectly straight. On a lot of your factory rods, I won't name any names, but they don't build them on the spine. So if you set that hook and you watch your tip guides, sometimes they'll be twisting a little bit.
Oh wow!
They won't be perfectly straight on the axis. So
I like
to
that
build
wears
on
on your
spine.
line. That does all that kind of
Correct.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So when you go set that hook and you're fighting that fish, your line is perfectly ran through those guides on the spine of the blanket. I'll show you on these guys. You can rotate them and spin them, and they'll spin right back to their spine.
So the spine is where it overlaps.
Where the carbon fiber overlaps. Most of these companies are using what they call carbon fiber pre-preg. There's like epoxies built into the carbon fiber, and then they put them on steel mandrels. They roll them on them, and they bake them in the oven. If you ever get a chance to go to Cash and Rods and get a tour, they have their inshore masterclass coming up next month sometimes. I highly recommend it. It's very super interesting, especially for fishing nerds like myself, to figure out the process from start to finish, how they're actually manufacturing these blanks. It's really awesome. But just kind of from that perspective, there is overlap in the carbon fiber. and it will naturally go to a spine. Kind of from there, I'll mount the reel seat perfectly, and when I get it mounted, I'll put it on the floor again and make sure the reel seat is perfectly on the spine. And then I have like a little guide. You probably see it in some of my videos, like a blue guide. I'll actually mount in the reel seat and get right over top of it and see this is perfectly straight.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay.
So when I'm wrapping guides, I'll get them as close as I can, just eyeballing. And then when I do that final alignment, I'll take them off the bench and kind of hold them up against a white wall. And you can basically see how they're straight. Or you can walk down the blank, get directly over them, kind of see how much of that guide is going on both sides of your blank, just looking straight down at them and line them up.
And that's where your attention to detail and engineering and all that stuff pays dividends on this side too, man.
Some guys are using laser. Some guys are using like a V channel, like an aluminum V channel to kind of lay all the guides in to make sure all the guides are lined up straight. I think eyeballing it is 99% as good as some of those other ones that are a lot more work. I haven't had any issues. Most of my guides are pretty straight from what I can tell.
Well, I have another question just from my knowledge.
Okay.
So, a long time ago, I talked about the Walmart rods. Two-piece. You know, everything now is one-piece. What would you say the sensitivity difference is when a two-piece and a one-piece? Do you even do two-piece?
I do actually got one in my truck. I have a truck rod. I just breaks down up under my back seat. I keep in my truck all the time in case, you know, I'm early for an appointment or I'm waiting on my kids to do something. I'll find me a little hole and I'll go fish in a ditch. You know, I'll fish anything. But yeah, I would say the modern two-pieces in the last probably 5 or 8 years have came a long, long ways. They're not like they were when we were young, when we were young lads, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty close in sensitivity from what I can tell. You're going to lose some just by the ferrule being there and overlapping each other a little bit, but I'd say they came a long way. And I think they are good for applications. If you can get away with a one-piece rod, I'd recommend it. But like Nathan from Underwater Porcupine, he's like, hey, I'm going backpacking into the mountains. I want something that breaks down pretty small.
Yeah, 'cause he goes looking for shark's teeth and all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah.
He goes gets them big megalodons and all.
So he was like hiking up into the Appalachian Mountains somewhere and going trout fishing. He wanted a BFS rod.
Yeah.
And I was like, you want 3 or 4 pieces? So we mapped it out, and I made it beautiful brook trout themed. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but that was a beautiful build as well. It turned out really well, and I actually put white thread down between the butt grip there, and actually overlaid the printout of a brook trout and epoxied over it, so it actually looks like a brook trout's back. It really turned out really well. Yeah. But yeah, 3-piece rods. I think they have their applications if you're hiking or traveling or flying, or you're just going to the family with the beach and you can't accommodate a 7.5 foot inshore rod.
Yeah.
Just 2 or 3 piece is more manageable.
There was nothing more embarrassing as a kid when you're around these people and you're trying to show them that you can fish, and you go to throw, and half of your rod goes with your bait in the water. And
I have had to reel the top part in on my rod a couple times.
That was bad.
Again, with those ferrules, there's a proper way to seat them. If you go down like 90 degrees, have the guys like 90 degrees and turn it.
Oh, so super glue's not it.
If you turn it,
I've done that on mine now. All of mine. When I chucked my last one on a video, I went home and took a little bead of super glue and put on every one and seated it back and lined them up, and that's how they're all done now.
Yeah, if as you're seating it, you turn it to 90 degrees back straight, it'll stay locked in a lot better than it will if you just made them straight on. But
the heavy duty super glue does work. I'm just gonna say. But if you get it you better do it quick and line it up right, because if you don't, it does not straighten back up. I just want you to know.
Yeah, and something I've tried to do on all my multi-piece rods. You know, if you ever had a fly rod, they'll have like little alignment dots. I've tried to start putting alignment dots on all of them to make it easy when you're fishing. So you don't have to look at your guides and my guides are crooked. You just line them up by the dots and you're good to go.
That is smart.
I wish I had thought about that as a kid. Just a Sharpie dot or something.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I did it on my boat. You always did it on a boat. We always put lines on it and stuff. So if your sight moved any, you knew that your sight had moved and you could straighten it with your nose before you ever actually shot. But you knew that's what you looked at. And you took a paint pen and did it. And I guess or your sights and stuff like that. If that pin had moved going through the woods, that's what we did. And you made sure you knew so you could correct. And I guess I'd never I'd never thought about that, but I was showed that too by somebody else. So I mean, it's just, I get there's so many things you can apply these things to that cross over different lines.
It's just one of those minor details you don't think about until you're actually out on the water and you're assembling your fly rod or whatever. But when you get it together and it locks in, and you got to worry about are my guides straight.
Yeah.
That's smart. Well, I've got the most important question of the whole day. Somebody wants to order a rod. Give us every way to get in touch with you.
The easiest way is my Instagram on Shady Pirate Fishing. or add me on Facebook as a friend. I'm Jeff Minchew. If you're holding a fish in your profile picture, I'll probably accept
I'm
your
the
friend
same
request.
way.
Otherwise, I'll dig in a little bit. Like, oh, I probably know this person's indirectly from fishing somehow. But otherwise, I'll probably dig into your profile a little bit and just to vibe check you a little bit before I add you. But Instagram is the best way. I'm pretty responsive there, and I do work a real job. So if I don't get back to you immediately, I'll get back to you within a couple of hours, and I can give you my phone number from there if you want to have a more detailed, in-depth conversation. I'm not going to give that on this podcast.
That's fine.
But,
That's fine.
Those real jobs get in the way, don't
Yeah,
they?
they really
Every one of
it's
them
really
does.
a problem.
Thus, us out here on a Saturday afternoon, late in the afternoon, doing a podcast. I mean, but we get together when you can, and you do things when you can. But follow him on Instagram because, man, the videos he puts up in his stories and that kind of stuff, it is amazing to watch and see. And that's honestly how we kind of got to know each other really well through that. Then through the Todd Willis and then different things. We bought boats about the same time. You went with a Pioneer and I ended up going with the Key West. But we would throw ideas back and forth on boats and all that. So we ended up with about, I think, the same size boat actually. And so... but just different brands and so having those connections with people are far beyond if you get their products or not, even though I would definitely, if I'm going to buy a rod, I'm going to get it from you, right? Because I know there's a relationship there. You can trust someone that you can, and it's not knocking anyone else that does that. I'm not saying that at all. It's just, you've seen these things, you follow it, you see the details and trust it. And so it's just, if I'm going to spend that money, I'm definitely going to go with someone I know that I'm going to get a product that is amazing. But yeah, man.
Well, his Instagram too. I think you can get. You talk about the art side of things. You can get a lot of inspiration from going to your Instagram. Yeah, absolutely. Colors and themes and anything, really.
Things that I never knew were even an option.
Yeah,
I mean, I was like, how in the world? Yeah. I mean,
I'm still old school, man. I mean, I'm a cork grip guy. I mean, what guides I use, I have no clue. I called them guides that time, not eyes.
Thank you.
But there's so many things that you don't know, right? And then you listen to it and hear it, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, let me try that.
Yeah, once you kind of dig into the different components, there's been a lot of thought, a lot of science poured into a lot of these, and it's came a long ways in the last 10 or 15 years, and it's been pretty exciting building rods the last 2.5, 3 years, and I look forward to building some more.
Yeah, man. And hopefully folks will get in contact with you, ask the questions, find out the information, follow him on there, especially even if you don't love fishing and somebody else came across this and you love that intricate side of the art or whatever, right? I'm telling you, this guy does some wraps on some things that will blow your mind. And you actually hand wrap those.
Absolutely.
So, so when you start looking, you'll see the pieces laid down and how the progression goes of this coming to life and being built. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm just that's why I say I'm definitely I've got in my mind how I want to do my veteran rod. I call it my 82nd rod. But I'm gonna we'll get down and get the intricacies and being able to show them. But I never even knew half that stuff was available. I'd have probably asked for a red, white, and blue rod instead. I didn't know because you just don't know what's available. And when you start seeing this stuff, you're like, wow, this is actually something I can hold and have in my home, and it becomes, it becomes a treasure, man. And that's the best way I can put it. I mean, it is definitely a functional treasure.
It's been interesting. I've built some rods for weddings. They're going to live above a mantle. I've had some folks reach out about putting their dog's ashes that their dog always went fishing with them, putting their dog's ashes, and asked if it was possible, and it absolutely is possible. It's something we can do. It's just
I had a friend of mine that I actually put in contact with you about that. That he had a lab that went on the boat with him all the time and lost it to cancer. And he wanted to know if I knew a rod builder that he could. He said, "Man, I want to carry my dog with me when I fish. She was always there. I want her to be there." I put him in contact with you, and like you say, and I would have never known that because honestly, we weren't even super. We were close, but I mean, it was before us. So just saying, yeah, man, I seen this guy. If anybody can do it, he can do it. So you never know. I mean, love whatever. I mean, it's not odd if you want it. It's. I don't know.
That's back to the custom thing.
That's right. That's right. And having somebody with the ability.
Yeah, and we really didn't even get into talking about guides. We could probably do a whole podcast on the guides that are available, getting down to guide spacing and deflection and where your line rides at. But I don't want to get into that too deep. But just know.
my mind would be.
We'll have to do episode 2.
Yeah, just know that if you want to do anything funky with your guides or you have a favorite guides that you like to fish, we can do it. And we can probably find them somewhere. You can get wild with your colors of guides, your colors of your inserts on your guides. I mean, you can go as as wild and crazy as you want to. And that's
So for
that's
us
what I
old
enjoy
people, it's
about it.
basically the Casey Whitley of fishing rods.
Color insert of the guide.
Yeah, I mean,
Good
it's
land.
pretty
That's
incredible what's out there now and available. So.
Man.
As we're getting close, I got a random question. I just want to hit this real quick. If you had to throw one bait, what would you throw?
Ooh. One bait or give them
One
top three
bait.
bait? One bait?
No, I want one bait.
Okay.
I mean, I would go simple. I'd probably go 3-inch Z-Man minnow Z.
It's hard
I've
to beat.
caught I mean, that's kind of what I got started on
Hard to
fishing out
beat.
here in Bellhaven on the Pungo River. Kind of got me started. Fishing DOAs. I forget what they're called. They're little 3-inch paddle
Oh, the
tail.
cow
and Z-Man.
shads.
The
The
cow
cow
shads.
shads.
There we
Yeah.
go. The 3-inch cow shads and the Z-Man 3-inch. I've caught just about every fish that swims with them.
That
So,
white with that green tail's mean, boy.
so it's kind of hard for me to go with anything else. You can lighten the jig head to fish higher in the water column. You can fish them on the bottom. You can do a lot with them. So that's what I'd have to go with.
Well, Jeff is an awesome rod builder, but he's also a great fisherman. I just
Yes.
wanted to throw that in at the
Yeah,
end just
yeah.
to change it up a little
That's
bit.
right. So he is using he's using the products that he uses, but started out fishing, and then this became a love that he was added to his.
And
his
just to
fishing.
be clear, I only claim to be a mediocre fisherman. Just so everyone's aware.
Okay, but I'll tell you what, he's an extraordinary rod builder. I can't tell you on his fishing. You do catch fish though, but he is an extraordinary rod builder. But y'all, thank you so much for coming and tuning along with us. Like I said, just give him a holler if you want to know any other questions or if you have any information you want to get from him. All his stuff will be down here below the show notes and links to his Instagram and to his Facebook. You can always get up with us and let us know if you want to get in contact with him, and we'll make sure. But he's very responsive in that. So thank you for tuning in again along. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. If you will, please leave if you feel like it's 5-star, leave a 5-star review. It'll help us and kind of get the word out, and it also helps us get a little higher up on the podcast standings and people to kind of find the channel. It's always family friendly. We just hope you have a great day. God bless you. Take care. So from Cory Furlow,
Gaston.
Jeff Minchew, I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
yeah, hey, man, it was really our pleasure. And it's a great session, man. And just seeing your work, seeing how you are. as a
Shady
person.
Pirate, baby.
Shady Pirate, baby. Shady Pirate Fishing Customs. All right, y'all. Take care. God bless. Appreciate y'all.
There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation, gripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures with some of my best buddies.